Hi, my name is Anne-Laure Cuvilliez, and I'm a graduate student in Civil and Environmental Engineering at Stanford University.
Every day at Stanford University, we need power to light our dark hallway. For students to do their homework on laptops and recharge their tablets, or for street lighting. However, electricity is also important for our businesses, the financial industry, and servers. And when a disaster like Sandy strikes, and the power goes out, everything stops.
Guys, this is a infant. Yes, it is an infant.
Your heart goes out to the family and
Oh
anyone,
my goodness,
any patient
yes.
under this situation. Tough enough dealing with a storm of this magnitude in a hospital, but then finding out the hospital that is there to care for you, suddenly the backup generator goes out.
Disasters are a burden on society, and with only a third of losses insured, society has to pay the difference. In the case of Sandy only, 20 billion were lost from businesses' interruption due to power outage. However, there has been a lot of talks about creating a more resilient electricity infrastructure. A more resilient energy infrastructure can cost more to build, but it can also save money in case of disaster. So, how do you balance the two? And in a world with more and more decentralized and renewable energy, what does this mean? We need to be able to compare, let's say, a county, while the other county has some renewable electricity generation. So, how do I compare the two? When we move from a centralized to a decentralized generation, there are more and more generation options and less distribution involved. How does this play out? Let's take our example of centralized power. And the example of decentralized power generation. A disaster strikes. The centralized power may lose its generation, while in the decentralized power, maybe the neighboring power plant can still supply you. In summary, what we want to know is, how can decision makers minimize disaster losses by considering the different energy generation options when planning the electricity infrastructure? Here is the system we are considering, with generation, distribution, businesses, and consumers. We use HAZES as a disaster loss model. We have the stochastic analysis on a disaster event. For example, what is the probability that an earthquake with this magnitude will happen in this area during the next 10 years? It is linked to a GIS model. We know the layout of our system, where the electricity infrastructure is located. Then we need to know how fragile the infrastructure is. This is done through fragility curves. For example, for a certain peak ground acceleration, what is the probability that the infrastructure is going to sustain moderate damage? Then we link this to the cost of repair, replacement, or downtime. And then how this affects the economy as a whole. We chose HAZES for its high availability to decision makers. It is based in the US and free. The software includes GIS and has been recently updated. It is also versatile for other types of hazards like flood or hurricanes, and most software packages uses HAZES damage classes. So, why do we think this analysis is going to work? If we compare the fragility curves of fossil and hydropower plants for different peak ground accelerations, let's focus on a 0.6 g peak ground acceleration. The fossil power plant has a 70% chance to sustain a moderate damage, while the hydropower plant less than 5%. If we include the power grid, we can see that it is definitely the most fragile items compared to generation. But as we increase the weight of generation, how is this going to play out? This is what we're trying to compute. And if you look at a wind turbine, you can see that it is much less fragile than fossil or hydropower plants. Overall, the outcome of this research will be better informed decision makers, better disaster loss modeling models, and more precise disaster estimation losses.